G'day, Alistair here. In this video, I intend to upgrade my server machine from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Now, there's a few reasons I want to do this. Firstly, as it's become a little bit unstable. I suspect it's partly because Windows is a bit broken. It's had quite a few CPUs in it without being a fresh install. So I think it had a 4770K and then a bunch of Xeons. So it's at least 2 motherboards and a total of 4 CPUs in there. So what I'm going to do is I have this here is a Western Digital, it's an SN570, 1 terabyte SSD, or NVMe drive rather. So I'm going to replace the SATA SSD in there with that one and do a fresh install, so I can still sort of hang on to my Windows 10 installation should I break anything. Now, in particular, I want to copy across my Blue Iris installation, and I've backed up the configuration for that, Unifi, and also the Code Project AI. I just need to install that. I don't need to do anything special, and just make sure the various modules are installed that I need. In particular, the object detection and the .NET one at least, and license plate. Anyhow, so that's effectively what I'm going to do. Now, one problem with this is that if I run the PC health check, which will tell me if we are compatible with Windows 11, and it is not. So secure boot is fixable. Basically, I need to change my MBR petition to a GPT petition, and you can do that from PowerShell command line, not a big deal. This is more of an issue. TPM, I don't have a TPM module in this machine, and also the CPU is not supported. And this is kind of the most modern class of CPU that the motherboard supports. It's a 2600 series V4. I've got a 2690 in there, which we installed in a previous video. So how do we get around that? Well, the CPU, if you do a install from boot media, then I don't think the CPU requirement is present. But the others, we need to use, you download the Windows 11 ISO. You can just Google it. It used to be hard to download a Windows ISO. It's now really easy from Microsoft.com. So I have the English International version. I'm not sure if it had that or the US version. We shall see. So I downloaded the ISO and selected it. And all these other properties I've left at default. That's the flash drive I'm installing onto, thumb drive. And we go start. And from here, we can say that we want to remove the requirement for, well, there's more than 4 gig of RAM, so that's not a problem. Secure boot and TPM. So that should hopefully be everything cleaned up, or all the requirements met. And also the requirement to activate with an online account. I'm not too fussed about that, probably activate it anyway. And you can skip a bunch of other stuff as well. And you normally go, okay, I've already done that, so we'll skip that. So my next step is to pull the server down off the shelf and hook it up to a monitor and keyboard and that kind of stuff and get it installed. So I'll be doing that right now, and we'll resume when it comes time to install the various applications. For some reason we didn't get audio, so I'm just going to do some narration over the top. And here we are removing the side panel. Here we can see where the NVMe drive is going to go, but we'll need to take out the graphics card, and in fact we're going to replace that with a GTX 970. And of course we want to start by removing the PCIe power connectors, and then we'll unscrew the 2 screws that are holding it in place, and then we better remove this graphics card. It's a R9 280, so it'll be getting a bit of an upgrade. So we just need to remember to press the little button on the GPU retention mechanism on the PCIe slot, and then we can pull the graphics card free. So as you can see, it's an ASRock X99 Tai Chi motherboard. I've had it for quite a number of years and had quite a few different CPUs in it. So we are missing a screw for our NVMe drive, so we'll have to have a bit of a hunt around and see if we can find one. So we'll just take our NVMe drive and slot it in place. And we'll just take the screw from the other slot and use that. So we'll just screw that in place and make it nice and secure. Next up, graphics card upgrade. So let's just push that firmly into that first PCIe slot and make sure it is seated in place. And we'll just throw a couple of screws in there, which we can finger tighten because they're nice little thumb screws. As you can see, I've now hooked up the power and we should be good to try and boot. So the power is on and we're just going to wait for it to post. So we're just having a bit of a look in the BIOS. The NVMe drive is not listed in the storage configuration there, which might be a problem, but we can also look elsewhere. So if we look at the advanced menu and come down to the NVMe configuration, we can see our Western Digital Blue SN570 1TB is listed. So I think at this point we're just saving our configuration and we'll want to reboot the computer and we'll want to try and get into the boot menu. So at this point I'm hitting the F11 key to get into the boot menu and the Windows boot disk is inserted, the flash drive, and we're going to boot from that. So I think what I've done at this point is forgotten to select Secure Boot in the BIOS, so we'll just nip back in there and enable that. So that is Secure Boot enabled, and then I want to boot back into the menu and select the appropriate partition on the flash drive, the thumb drive, and all going well, we should boot into the Windows setup, which it looks like it is doing. And here we go. So I will go ahead and install Windows 11 and we'll come back and get it configured. G'day, future Alistair here. Unfortunately, in the recording of some of the screen capture stuff from here on. HDR was enabled, and Camtasia has had some problems with that, and everything looks a bit washed out. So apologies, but you should still be able to work out what's going on. So on with the show. Okay, so Windows is installed, and I've got this running remote desktop, and I want to start installing the various applications. And the first thing I'll probably have a go at installing is Unifi. Now, I have a suspicion it requires Java. We'll have a look. Hopefully it'll say. And I have a backup of my network settings. So hopefully that will all work just fine. Okay, install. Recommended download page. Yes. Okay, operating system. Windows 64. Download the MSI. I'll allow cookies. Oops. Downloading. We want to open it. Okay, hopefully that is thinking about installing Java. Okay. Just go with all the default settings. Hopefully that'll be fine. Finish. Go back and carry on with Unifi. And we'll have to do some benchmarking as well on this hard drive. So we'll install the Crystal Mark disk testing. Allow access. And Unifi is always a bit of a slow application to start. Okay, launch in the browser. Yep, continue. That's safe. That's the latest agreement. Oh, or restore from backup. You have no backups. I can upload a backup file. Okay. Temp. Confirm. Okay, let's let that carry on. So that backup restored itself. Let's see if I can log in. And that looks pretty promising. Have a look at the Unifi devices, and it looks like they're all there. So I would call that a success. Next up, let's do Blue Iris. Okay, let's now test out Blue Iris. Demo. So with the Blue Iris settings, it looks like it's just a registry file. So allow access. Import settings. The temp. Okay, and some of the hard drives that are set up with Blue Iris are not currently present. So we'll see, but we'll start it up, see what happens. Well, that didn't work with the... Might have to look up my license separately. Okay, so all the cameras are going. Excellent. I will go away and look up my Blue Iris registration and get that installed, and proceed from there. And obviously plug the hard drive in. So I think that's almost everything configured. So let's I'll go do that and come back. The last thing I want to install is the Code Project AI for the object detection for Blue Iris. So it will recognize objects and faces and things like that. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that is, let's see if it's downloaded. Keep. Anyway. Okay. And we'll run the installer. After circumventing all that security that Microsoft has put in place, I'm pretty sure that the this installer is just fine. Now, this takes a very long time to install. So we'll get this bit done and then install and then install the various components that we need. So back shortly. Okay, so that is installed. And if we go into a browser and navigate to localhost port 32168, we see that it's all up and running. And go to install modules. So face processing is installing. Object detection, we want that one. The .NET version. The license plate reader we want. And I think that is pretty much it. So now we just need to wait for those to install. And then I can probably put the computer back together and back on the shelf. And it'll all be up and running again. So that seemed to all install. I've swapped from the regular object detection to the .NET version because I've found that that's faster, and enabled the GPU. And so we can go to the Explorer, benchmark, and choose a file. And there we go, that will do. Go. And give it, so 1720 detections per second. And we can have a look at the logs and see that we're about 200 milliseconds, 220 milliseconds, something like that. There's nothing there under 200 milliseconds. But anyway, I'd say it's a pretty good result. That's all working. Yeah, I think I'm ready to repackage this machine, put it back on the shelf, connect it all up, and have it running. So that's my next step. So, quick summary. After upgrading to Windows 11, it's been over a month, and everything is running a lot more stably, and I am quite a lot happier than I was. So, yeah, Blue Iris is running reasonably well, although if you look at this camera, it's not going. It's one of my RLC 810s, which I've had endless problems with, so it's not doing anything particularly useful. It's the chicken camera, of which we have no chickens left alive. So, yeah, not really necessary. But anyway, I'll catch you in the next video. I would say this Windows 11 upgrade went mostly smoothly, apart from all the difficulties I had with recording, losing audio, and having problems with the HDR in Windows. So I'll catch you in the next video. Hope you find at least some of this video useful. I'm Alistair Christie.